Rev up your engines. All right, here we have another boring Camry. So boring, it's got 230,000 miles on it. It runs fine. Everything still works. Guy bought it with 40,000 miles on it. He's probably the second owner of the car. And we're going to go through it and show you why it made sense to buy one of these back in the day. Now it's 11 years old, but you wouldn't know by looking at it, even though it's a Massachusetts car. They knew how to rust-proof these things. You notice there's no rust or pitting, and this is an SE. You can see even the wheels are still in decent shape. He drives it every day. You know, he's in Massachusetts. He doesn't hide it in the winter. It would be coated with salt then, but he washed it obviously here. But it shows that even all that salt hasn't bothered the car that much. Being a 2014 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine, this is the one that replaced the earlier ones that were like in the 2007s, 8s, 9s that burn a lot of oil. These are pretty much bulletproof engines, and you can see now he did have to replace the alternator a little while ago because I can see a tag on it. And he bought one, but then he found out later that down the street there was a guy who rebuilt alternators who would have saved the money and done it for only 60 bucks. When I was young, everybody said foreign cars, the parts cost a fortune, nobody knows how to work on them. Well, guess what? This isn't a foreign car. It was made in Kentucky. They're simple, basic technology that can last a long time. Unfortunately, today, you got no choice. The 2025 new Camrys only come hybrid. Yeah, they get 51 miles a gallon, but they have levels of technology that make your head spin. I don't know, about 230,000 miles on one. If it's going to be running as good as this thing is, these were when cars were probably the epitome of what Toyota ever made. Good solid engine, but no complex crap. Does it have a turbocharger? No. Not a timing chain. No rubber belt to worry about. Now, it does have one thing that I'm not a big fan of, but he replaced the alternator. These are called overrun pulleys. Instead of having a solid pulley that your belt spun on, it's got an overrun pulley. And what happens when they get old, those overrun pulleys will break, and it's the oddest thing. You'll turn your car off, and then you'll hear this horrible noise. Well, that's the overrun pulley wearing out. Then you got to buy a new assembly, which the old ones didn't have that. Now, it's a minor thing. I mean, you replace the alternator once, but kind of the beginning of technology that really isn't all that necessary. And the main reason they did it was because they said, well, it makes them quieter. And yeah, they're quieter when it works, but they're a lot louder when they don't work and they break. Oh, car, 200-something thousand miles, but it still gets like 32 miles a gallon. That's in Massachusetts. That's just superficial rust. The metal's still real solid on the strut tower, but you'll always get rust like that and corrosion like this, but that doesn't really mean anything. Look inside. Hey, other than the wear here, these seats are still in pretty good shape. In the back, not too many people have used these, even better. And of course, they got the airbags and they're extremely safe vehicles. Sounds solid. Look inside, still really clean. Dash is in good shape. These cars never had the problem that some of the Toyotas and Lexus where these got sticky and gooey. These never had that problem. Baby's even got paddle shifters on it. Look, you can put it in manual shifting. You can use the paddle shifters. Are up. Toyota starts right up, and you can see it's got 234,376 miles on it. And his little computer's talking because he's got a dash cam. He's smart, just like me. Stick one in there so if somebody hits you, you'll have proof that they hit you. Now, if you're a bad driver, maybe not put one in. Because if you're a bad driver, you don't want the police to see that it was your fault. And of course, everything still works. Heat, air conditioning. I'm turning the heat off because it's getting too hot. The sun's coming out. Really, it's held up well. So, it's time for the giant scan tool. You can see it's already detected it. It's working pretty fast. We get a little glare because the sun's out today. Well, it makes it a little stylistic here. We'll do a standalone diagnosis. We read the VIN number. All right, it knows it's a Camry, North America 2014, 2 ARFE 4-cylinder engine without a smart key. We can do a full topology scan, so away we go. And while it's doing it, I mean, the rest of the vehicle's still in excellent shape, even though it's got like 237,000 miles on it. Added his own Garmin stuff here. It didn't come with that, of course. Now we can see it's got 15 trouble codes. A lot of them probably aren't going to mean much, so we'll start with the AC, which still works. Lost communication, low sensor circuit. Now we're going to erase these codes because battery's been replaced a lot of times. People don't reset these codes. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It works fine. So that means I'm probably going to get a bunch of codes that are communication codes because there was low battery voltage at some point in time and nobody reset it. Combination meters, probably going to be more of these crazy communication codes. No circuit open, but they all work. So some point in time, something probably happened. Somebody fixed it, but they never erased the codes. I see this on many cars with high mileage. People fix things, they don't have a high-level scanner like me, and they don't know they got to erase it or it'll stay there forever until somebody erases it. Go over here to the BCM, the body control module. It'll probably be more of these crazy codes. What I tell you, lost communication, blah, blah, blah. So we'll erase those. Now, let's say instead of me just checking this out for a guy who's thinking about driving it to Florida because he bought it used years ago, it was just a checkout of a used car. These codes don't mean anything. So don't be afraid if you get codes, if you know a guy like me who can tell you what it means. And so I erased all the other codes because they're all communication codes. And they're all gone now, so we're going to start her up and we're going to look at the main data, which is the ECM. Black's good, red's bad. Mass airflow sensors, fine. Black here, that looks pretty good. Battery voltage is good, 13.945. The short-term fuel trim is 1.563 to 2.3. Means it's adding fuel, which they'll often do on an old car because the fuel injectors are old. They don't spray as well, so they got to add a little bit of fuel. This thing is getting 32 miles a gallon on the highway. I just say leave the thing alone. You might put some cleaner in it. It'll clean them up. And I found that sometimes you do that, it'll actually get worse gas mileage. Because it's adding a little fuel because it's running lean. If you stop it running lean, generally you're going to use a little bit more fuel. I've had that happen in ages past where I tune up somebody's car and they'll say, gee, it really runs great now, but my gas mileage is down. I say, well, that's because it runs really good. You're probably driving faster. You're going to get worse gas mileage. A lot of times you want your car to run a little bit lean if you want better gas mileage. See the air-fuel ratio sensor, minus 0.01, so it's subtracting, a tiny bit. It was almost perfect at 0, so it really is pretty much meaningless. The car's just running too good. So let's take it for a spin. You gotta look backwards while we drive. I stick a camera like this and look at it. I use my head, though. I find the head works just as well. 234,000 miles, still idles like a dream. We're going over the big hump here. And really, considering that it still has the original 4 struts on it, it's got 234,000 miles on this horrible Rhode Island bumpy roads, it still rides pretty good. Let's just say they don't make them like they used to. And sure, it bounces a little bit more than it used to, but I mean, you want to spend close to $1,000 replacing everything? I wouldn't. It still goes good enough. And here we go. Nobody to the right, somebody to the left. Here we go. We'll give it some gas. That engine sounds strong, shifts like a dream. Hey, these things are just made like tanks. If somebody put me in this car blindfolded, there's no way I'd think it has 240,000 miles on it. Still corners like a dream, the brakes are smooth, the ABS system still works, and this car still runs. Pretty much the same as it did when it came off the factory floor, except it bounces a little bit more. The struts have 240,000 miles on them almost. Hey, you really can't complain about that. And sure, he bought an alternator for it a few years ago. Not that big of a deal. He did it himself. No, he wanted me to tell me if he could take it from here to Florida for a trip. Heck, I'd take it from here to California and back. I wouldn't care. So there you have it. He's cleared for takeoff if he wants to go to Florida anytime. And, hey, sure, it's got a lot of miles on it, but really, when you consider what he paid for, $14,000, almost 200,000 miles ago, and it still runs like this, hey, you really can't complain. That's why they sold so many of these, so millions and millions and millions of these things, because they're boringly predictable that they don't break down, they get you where you're going, they get good gas mileage, and when you do have to fix them, there's always parts available because they sold so many of them, and there is an insane aftermarket. You can do whatever you want or don't want to do to them. If you're a young kid, you want to soup them up, go right ahead. Waste your money. But most people, they're just going to be driving this thing around till Hades freezes over as the bell rings. If you can find something like this, you snap on it. Don't even think twice, because if you get bored with it, somebody else will buy it from you for probably more than you paid for it in the first place. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Now here's something I can't help but laugh at. GM says they think the U.S. can dethrone China as the EV battery king. Kurt Kelly from General Motors, who is the boss of their GM battery department says China's ahead, but hey, we can beat them thanks to government policies encouraging local development, manufacturing of battery cells. In other words, it's just another pitch for our government tax money to go to private corporations. We can beat those Chinese, but you got to give us a few $1 billion to help us out, right? Ha! That's what I say. GMs have been making crappy cars for quite some time. Why should we give them a whole bunch of money to make crappy electric cars that nobody wants? They spent years touting their Ultium battery technology, and now they got rid of the name. Oh, we can't use that. They're not the ultimate ones. They're kind of crappy. Well, let's change the name. That'll fix everything, right? And in this case, they say everything's going to be fixed from the Chinese domination by taking our taxpayer dollars and giving them to GM. You know what I say? Pfft, don't give them a penny. It's a joke. It's stupid. The government should have nothing to do with industrial policy of making electric cars, paying the people to make batteries for cars that people don't want to buy. There's a lot of other things we could put government money into besides wasting it on the stupid idea of battery electric cars. And these corporations being dead from the neck up, once they start, they just keep going on the same path. They're on the highway to hell and they keep going full speed. They don't care that it's the wrong way. But then they say, we can beat the Chinese. Just give us some more money, please. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.